just
Right.
like that.
Okay. Got it.
The shape of the head, somebody mentioned that many times there is a strain of koi that has a large hump on the top and then it's a sudden drop. And some people like that large bone structure.
Oh, excuse me.
Personally, I like when it's just more gradual. Some koi, the noses will be very pointed, but we like it gently rounded. And some koi, especially the larger ones, have jowls.
Now I like that.
Like,
I like the
They're
jowls.
very cute.
I've never noticed my fish with jowls.
Yeah, it's the only time I like jowls is on the fish.
This when you look in the mirror.
Yeah, that's right. I have that problem.
That's how I've grown a goatee and try to get rid of this.
So, more rounded, gently rounded, and not very pointed. And you can see that even on smaller koi. So, on this smaller male, perfect. It's really, what do you think? The other...
Jeez. You can actually see the difference in the face, the structure of the face. This one here has particular a longer type, narrower face, while this one has the more. To me, I like that type of face better. It's almost, you could almost say that it's almost like a squareness to it, but it flows. This to me looks like this will be a lot larger fish.
Yeah, I think this looks more pointed also because the pattern is so high up, but it's true. And it's preference in many ways.
I have.
As far as the mouth on this one here, are we okay with the mouth? And this was modeled after Lisa's, what is it, shamu she has? What's the fish called?
Chagoi?
No, that common color one, that big one, the friendly character.
That's Chagoi.
Okay.
Yeah.
She calls it something shamamusa. I don't know what it was. Anyhow.
Looks good.
Yeah, it looks good to me. It could be bigger. It wouldn't hurt. You should try to maybe stop by Lisa's again and look at the mouths and see, especially when they're feeding, and see just how big they can actually.
Oh, it's pretty big. Actually, I videotaped it, and
okay.
the problem is when it opens the mouth, the membranes or whatever become so thin, and I said, do I really want to duplicate that in clay and that in bronze? So that's why I kept it to that size.
Okay.
And the gill plate looks
It's okay?
good. Gill plate.
Now this part here, I wasn't too sure exactly what it is, but they all seem to have it. This section.
Per kilogram.
This is from the there's a slight like a filament that goes around the edge of the gill plate,
Like a
and then back coming this way to a certain area, and you'll see it. But if you scrape that, you'll come to bone, like or like cartilage, very very hard cartilage.
But a question I have, and I really don't know the answer, if this koi's mouth is open, I think the gills would be a little flared.
Yeah.
How much more?
As a normal, normally a koi will not be swimming around with its gills open. Most of the time, if a koi is swimming around with gills open all the time, that fish has got a bacterial problem or some kind of a problem.
Okay.
They may open them just slightly every once in a great while, but for the most part, they're kept closed, and there's a reason for that. And it's a protection of their breeding system.
Now on these here, I kind of opened them up to give it some little definition.
Yeah.
So now that you mention that,
Yeah, you'll have to go to Lisa's and watch
Just
see
check
what the gills do.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
just
think they'll be open.
look at it, redo your videos. And I mean,
the barbell is the location of the smaller set. Does it matter? Because if you look at the images, it differs from location to location.
Yeah.
That's what threw me off.
I don't think that's a major thing. Anybody here? I don't think it's sometimes you hardly notice the lower one, and then some have really dramatic ones.
Yeah.
And in the old Chinese paintings, they really emphasize
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
So, the last point, and we talked about it earlier, was the dorsal fin, and you did different shapes. This one is more gradually, and it's larger in the front. And then on the large fish, they're about the same size. So, again, I think every koi is different.
I got a question on this one
But
here.
it's not it wouldn't be an abnormal trait, so it still what makes the sculpture look normal.
Okay. Initially, this one here had a point here, and it broke off. In fact, it went up, it came down slightly. Do I leave it as is, or do I go back and add it? Because I noticed this one has more of like a little.
Well, it's when we looked in the book to see the different shapes. I like when it has a higher front, but
Higher front.
Yeah, and not only that is it appears like this area here might be a little bit higher than say back in here. It is more of a slope down.
Okay.
and the only other thing was on the smaller koi, maybe, I don't know. I just thought it looked fat and then abruptly goes really thin, but you see koi like that also. So maybe it has to grow in a little bit.
Okay, well, on this one I did plan on going back and correcting the rib area.
Oh, okay.
So when I do that, I won't add more bulk to it, so I'll leave it as that and a little more streamlined then.
But you really did a fabulous job.
Add a little bit in here. In here, it goes in there slightly like that compared to this side. You got a nice flow, and this is almost could be.
Okay, let me feel for that.
No, but they were
Right here? Okay, I would add some near them.
I know, hard,
It
difficult to
did
do.
have
Oh,
it did
wasn't
have
it?